right, we're back here, WHIP Radio in Philadelphia. Time in the studio is 11:19. Will the Eagles potentially strike a deal with the New York Jets that would bring Marcus Mariota to Philadelphia in the NFL draft? That's a big question, and one man that's going to try to help us answer that question is Evan Roberts from the Beningo and Roberts program up in New York at WFAN. Evan's been doing the afternoon show, replacing Mike Francesa this week, but they'll be back in the middays coming up soon. I know Evan's going to also be on a little bit of a vacation. But, Evan, welcome back to the program. It's Zach Gelb and Chase Sr. How are you, my friend?
Fantastic. It is like the last thing I do before I go on vacation is talk to you guys, so I'm very excited.
Well, that's always funny. Well, I know that for a long time, Joe Beningo, your co-host, and I, we've had a big feud about the Jets and the Patriots. And 9 times out of 10, I usually have won that argument. And over the years, you've also gone out there and made fun of me when the Jets play the Patriots. And we've got into a little bit of a rivalry as well. I was going through my computer, and we'll talk about the Mariota thing in just a little bit, but I found this classic audio from the one and only Joe Beningo. Here it is, Evan. I think you'll like this. Listen up. This is when Joe Beningo chastised me when I was a little boy a few years ago.
Beningo here. Just want to be the first to tell you that it is now the changing of the guard in the AFC East, that it is now our division. We are the only team from the division playing this weekend, Zach. Your quarterback's getting soft. He's too much with his girlfriend. Your wide receiver, number 81, doesn't want to play football anymore. Obviously, he didn't want to play yesterday. Your team got punched in the mouth and never got up. Goodbye to the Belichick era. All my love to you, Zach.
A few things, Mr. Evan Roberts. First off, send my best to Joe Beningo. Tell him I say hello. And how sick did it make you to see Darrelle Revis host a Lombardi Trophy with the Pats?
As sick as that made me feel, hearing that audio made me sicker.
He's eating crow now. He's eating crow.
Because, like, there was those moments where, as the Jet fan, you thought, wow, this really is the changing of the guard over the last 6 years. And obviously, here we sit. The Jets are starting over. What else is new? New head coach. What else is new? New GM. What else is new? Probably a new quarterback. And the Patriots, they won a championship with Darrelle Revis, doing his thing. So that whole, you've just gotten me depressed. So thank you for that.
Well, you should thank me for the future of the Jets and Chase as well, because Temple University has produced your new head football coach in Todd Bowles and one of your best defensive linemen in Muhammad Wilkerson.
That is true. And the Muhammad Wilkerson that they're probably going to lock up real soon, which I was always nervous about with John Idzik running the show. So you are correct. Thank you to Temple.
Evan Roberts joins us right now on the hotline, WHIP Radio in Philadelphia. So Manish Mehta wrote this column about the possible trade that could go down on draft day between the Eagles and the Jets. We all know Chip Kelly is fascinated with Marcus Mariota. It's one of his favorite players of all time. He recruited him when almost no one else in the country didn't. And then he finds a way to win a Heisman. Chip is now with the Eagles. We all know that. If I was the Eagles GM, which is now Chip Kelly pretty much, because he has all the power here in Philadelphia, and I called you up and said, Mr. Roberts, you're the GM of the Jets. I'll give you 2 first-round picks, a future second, and Nick Foles for your number 6 overall draft pick that would land the Eagles' Marcus Mariota. Would you take that deal?
Privately, I would tell all my fellow executives that we're going to make this deal, but publicly to you, I would say, nah, give me another number 1, maybe a number 2. But honestly, I'd make that deal in a half a second. I think part of the reason is the Jets have a lot of holes to fill. Whoever they select at number 6, I'm not sold Marcus Mariota as the franchise quarterback. Amari Cooper would be nice. I'm not sure he's going to be there. So to be able to get a future number 1, a future second-round pick, a guy I can plug in at the quarterback position, and Nick Foles that I can at least feel decent about, for a pick that I don't think I'm getting a franchise quarterback. I think Mariota obviously would fit incredibly well in Philadelphia, and even if he puts together an incredible career with Chip Kelly, I'm always going to deep down think, well, he may not have done this in New York. I mean, he doesn't exactly have Chip Kelly running the show, so I'd make the deal. I think most Jet fans would make the deal. It seems to make a lot of sense, which is why right now, if I had to put money on it, I think something like that's actually going to go down.
Evan Roberts of WFAN is our guest here on WHIP Radio here in Philadelphia. Evan, it's Chase. Now, we talk about this deal that could work out for both teams, but as you said, the Jets do have a lot of holes to fill. They need a franchise quarterback. Nick Foles could be that guy. We saw glimpses of what he could do in 2013 with 27 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. I want to focus on the 2 quarterbacks that are headlining the 2015 NFL Draft, though. What do you think separates Jameis Winston and Marcus Mariota?
Well, I mean, obviously the styles are a lot different. I think the off-the-field stuff is a major concern, especially when you're building a team in New York City, because when you come here and you got to deal with the media and you got to deal with all the distractions that are there, as talented as Jameis Winston is, and I don't, by the way, personally, I'm no talent evaluator.
Right.
I don't think either guy's a franchise quarterback. Neither of those guys make me think of the next Andrew Luck or the next Peyton Manning or the next Tom Brady. I just don't feel it. Could be wrong, obviously. But I look at both guys, and I think Mariota probably needs a year or 2 of seasoning, which is why if the Jets took him at 6, I think best-case scenario for him and his development is he gets to learn for a year or 2, which is going to be tough to do because Geno Smith stinks, you know?
Yeah.
So when Geno starts and he throws 5 interceptions in the first 2 weeks and all the Jets fans are screaming for Mariota, there's going to be a lot of pressure to put him in right away when I think he probably needs a year, maybe 2, to kind of learn. Winston, I think he's probably better suited to start right away, but because of the team I'm running, if I'm make-believe Jets general manager, if somehow he was available at 6, and I think the tea leaves basically tell you he's going to be gone, number 1 overall, I'd be very hesitant to take him because the off-the-field stuff, it's a big deal anywhere, but I think it's an even bigger deal when you're dealing with New York City.
And Evan, you mentioned Geno Smith. He wasn't really surrounded with much talent, nor was he surrounded with a coaching staff that focuses intently on offense. Is he cooked? Is he done? I know he's had some pretty bad years there, and he's gone through some turmoil and has thrown some embarrassing interceptions, but is New York already giving up on him?
Well, I think New York has given up on him, but in fairness, I think he deserves an opportunity to compete for this job. And I think that's basically what's going to happen next year. I'm not sure who his competition is going to be. I mean, maybe it's a Ryan Mallett if they sign a guy like that. Maybe it's somebody they draft. Maybe it's Hundley. Maybe it's Mariota. I'm not sure who the competition is going to be. But I think he at least deserves the chance to kind of win a job. And if he comes out in camp and has a great camp and wins the job and goes out and plays well during the regular season, I think he could prove a lot of the critics wrong. But if I'm a betting man, I don't think he has it. I don't think he's ever going to be a solid NFL quarterback, let alone a franchise quarterback. But I don't think you cut bait yet. I think you give him that one last chance to win a job, and we'll see if he does it. I mean, I think he's going to get the opportunity to win the job. The question is, can he beat out whoever this said competition is? And
with the Temple legend, Todd Bowles, taking the reins as the head coach, is New York in a rebuilding situation right now? And 2, does he bring a similar attitude to Rex Ryan that could elevate the Jets to the next level?
Well, it's funny. Like, everything you hear about Todd Bowles is how similar he is to Rex Ryan in philosophy, but not in saying to the media, we don't kiss, Belichick's rings and we're going to win the division.
Ego.
He's certainly, and I guess that's smart at this point, especially coming off a championship.
That's right, Evan. You know that.
And listen, I'm humbled. All right, what do you want me to tell you? I can't argue here. I'm a humble Jet fan.
I don't know if you're a humble Jet fan. There was one time when the Jets beat the Patriots in the playoffs, and I never heard the end of it from you.
Well, hold on a second. I am now a humble Jet fan. I didn't say I was always humble. I mean, yeah.
I'm just making sure.
That stadium and beat the Patriots. What do you want me to do? Act all sophisticated and say, oh, great game, good luck next year? No, I'm going to enjoy it.
Well, I would just tell you, Ray Martell, the former producer of the Joe Beningo show with Sid Rosenberg, once gave me a great piece of advice. Whenever a Jet fan gets on you, you just flash them the amount of Super Bowl rings you have, because they can only put one finger up, and then you could reverse it and flip them off.
Well, that's true. I was thinking our one finger that we would show you would be the middle one, especially Patriots fans.
Well, here in Philadelphia, the Eagles have no Super Bowl rings either, so I'm not sure what finger we're flashing, Jets fans.
That's very true. I guess. Listen, when Beningo and I, we went to that Thursday night game, Jets-Patriots, the season of the playoff matchup, and when the Patriots destroyed the Jets, and we were walking out of that stadium humbled, and every Patriot fan and their mother are screaming these horrible words at us, how do you not expect us to get even more enjoyment from knocking them out of the playoffs a few months later? I mean, You don't understand the abuse we took walking out of that stadium. All we did was get our asses kicked. That's all.
I'm just teasing you a little bit, but I do want to ask you this, because the other day I asked my Twitter followers that are Eagles fans, because we all know Chip Kelly and Marcus Mariota have a love relationship, and they both love each other very much, and that's why I think Chip is going to try to do as much as it could take, although I don't know if it will be the right move necessarily, because I think they should improve that secondary, but I did ask the Twitter question of, if you're an Eagles fan, would you make this deal with the Jets to get Marcus Mariota? And I was a little bit surprised. I received more no's than yeses. In New York, are the Jets fans, do they definitely want Mariota, or are they still on the fence about it?
I would say, based on the calls we've taken, that it's mostly make the trade. That a lot of people aren't completely sold on Marcus Mariota. And I think when you look at the history of trades like this, and maybe this is why Eagle fans are nervous about it, when you look at the history of giving up a boatload to jump up and get a quarterback, or in Ricky Williams' case, a running back, it tends to not work for the team giving up the big package. So I think that in New York, I think it's partially not sold on Mariota, but also the idea that, hey, you get Nick Foles, who's a solid NFL quarterback, and then you get all the surplus of picks to build a team. So I think most Jets fans would make that type of deal if it's out there.
Well, Evan, we appreciate the time today. Expect the package to 345 Hudson Street. I think you and Joe would look great in some Patriots Super Bowl championship hats, right?
Well, you know what? I need to clean my car with something, so I'll try to use those hats.
All the best, Ev. We appreciate the time, my friend.
Thank you, guys. Have a good one.
All right, there's Evan Roberts from the Joe and Evan program up in New York, WFAN Radio. Okay, what we'll do right now is we'll take a quick break, and when we get back on the other side of the break, I know we started segment one with Temple basketball, then did some Eagles talk, but on the other side, we got to get to some Sixers talk, because they're wheeling and dealing once again. And the question is, when will there finally be some stability with Sam Hinkie's plan? Dee Lynam, she covers the Sixers. It's actually her birthday. She'll join us next.